Today's message.
Okay, we're still in the month of love. Isn't that great? We've been looking at love this month. You know, it's the tradition of it all, and I know all of us are, at least I'm totally over Valentine's Day, but we're still in the month of February, so here we go. We're looking at love from a different point of view. We're looking at that divine love, that love of God, knowing that as we are individualized expressions of it, we are divine love expressing itself, whether we know it or not. It's true for everyone. The love of the divine for its creations, as Holmes defines, is the self-givingness of spirit through the desire of life to express itself in terms of creation. Love is a cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible. Isn't that great? We just open our hearts, we let love pour out, and we're irresistible. I love that. Okay, so here's sort of the lay of the land for the month. We started with L. L for laughter and lightness, which reminds me that there were these two cowboys, and they were sort of comparing their worth in terms of land. And one guy's chest gets all puffed out. He's like, well, I haven't counted my land lately, but I know there's over 1,000 acres that is actively being used. The other cowboy's like, well, you know, I don't rightly know how much land I've got, but I do know this. When I get in my pickup truck in the morning and I start driving across my land, come evening, I'm not at the end of it yet. Other cowboy's like, I'm sorry, you know, I used to have a pickup truck just like that. Okay, laughter. It's that idea of when we laugh, when we allow ourselves to open up to that innate joy that is right here and right now, always. When we do that, we lighten up, and we open up, and we lighten and open other people. And it's just as easy as a smile. So, last week, Reverend Joanne shares us the O, the omni of everything. The idea that there's no place that God is not extends in the terms of love. Do we have a deck? Perfect. She shared Emma. I have to move over now. She shared Emma, who is the teacher of teachers in this idea. And this was Emma's affirmation. How powerful is this? God is intelligence, God is life, God is truth, God is love. Always present, always powerful, always all-knowing. And as individualized expressions of it, that is who you are. If you take a breath and just do some inner work, it's all like right there. Today is V. And for V, we're going to be looking at vibration with vision and vitality. Or we might be looking at V in terms of vision for vitality, which raises our vibration. It doesn't really matter how you look at it. All of the V's go together. And when we put them together, when you put them together, can you just do the CSL slide? Thanks. So when you put them all together, when you put all of these O's together and you recognize that is all available, and then realize that the way we tap into it is with our vision, with our vibrational energy, with our vitality. Oh man, who can stop us? David Hawkins, in his book, Power versus Force, and if you haven't read it, you should at least go online and cruise through highlights of it. But he points out the fact that there's a vibration to everything. There's a vibration to everything. And there are lower vibrations, like this table is as solid and low as a vibration as one can possibly get. Unless you're on your knees because you just don't know where to go, and then it's a little lower than that. But the idea is that there's this vibration. And we attract to us what's vibrating at the same level that we're vibrating. So if we don't like what we're attracting, if we don't like what's going on, what do we need to do? Raise our vibration. And how do we do that? We do that through inner work. We do that through hanging out with really incredibly awesome people, like the ones in this room, like the ones online. That's how we do that. There are 2 really quick ways to get your vibration on. One is through being totally grateful for all that you have, right here, right now. 2 is to do some self-love and some self-care. Because that's kind of where it all starts, right? It all starts within. So the premise today, knowing that peace and love and joy are all the highest levels of vibration. And when we're there, we are like magnets, attracting all of this good stuff because we're so positive. We're so positive that we're giving from that place, which allows us to receive from that place, which raises us up even higher, and we just get to say more thank you. But our premise this morning is that the higher the vibration, the more divine love we're experiencing, the more we're attracting. The more goodness, the more clarity, the more focus, the more ease, and the more grace just unfolds. So it's not about getting a clear vision. It's about knowing that there is a vision and being willing to become more and more clear of it. It's not about starting with that vision fully baked. It's not about starting with vitality that's already sort of bouncing around the walls because you're just like ready for whatever's next because it's going to be great. And it's not about just the frequency. It's about putting all 3 of them together and allowing them to direct and to guide, to inspire and to move, and to attract all of this goodness. It's about setting the bar high and then willing to keep it higher and higher and higher. That's why we're here. That's why we're on this spiritual journey. That's why we are not seeking, but we are being willing. We are called to be willing to understand, to know, to be, and to do more. Just more. Some quotes. Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens. Carl Jung. Vitality shows in not only the ability to persist, but in the ability to start over. F. Scott Fitzgerald. The higher your energy level, the more efficient your body. The more efficient your body, the better you feel. And then the more you'll use your talent to produce outstanding results. Tony Robinson. Your mind is a powerful thing. When you fill it with positive thoughts, your life starts to change. Unknown. But I could put all of our names behind that, right? Because we all know that is true. So I wanted to share a story with you that is an example of how it's all about vision and vibration and vitality. And I've decided you've heard enough of my stories. So I'm going to share a story of a very dear friend of mine in California. Now, we met in corporate America, and we were both in sales, and we were competing for the most part, but we became friends for some very odd reason. I was in my 30s, and if you think I'm outgoing now, you should have seen me in my 30s, single. I mean, well, anyway. So it's not about me, it's about her. And we met. I'm in my 30s, crazy outgoing, love and life. She's older, and she's a card-carrying Mensa member, okay? And if you want to know your level of self-confidence, go to a Mensa meeting, okay? Because especially if you're outgoing, because I'll tell you what, you either realize how blessed you are to learn a lot, or how you just know nothing, right? But luckily, I was blessed to learn a lot. And around the same time, my late 30s, I'm going to say, she and I both realized that we were sort of like ready for something more, not really knowing what that something was. And I would have told you then I had no vision, but in reality, I had a willingness. We both had a willingness to have a vision. And she had already stepped way outside of her comfort zone, right? She went to school to be a coder. She was raised in this conservative family where, you get married, you have babies, and if you cook really good meals, everything's fine. And so now she's like in sales and hanging out with crazy individuals like me. And we both start seeking other things. And she starts seeking in her own individualized way. She starts joining different groups and going on different excursions, taking different classes. She just sort of goes out there. Because what both of us know is that there's more joy, more love, and more fulfillment than what we're doing right now. And so fast forward, 30s, I'm in my 60s. Let's fast forward 20 years. She is now a licensed psychoanalyst with a PhD. Her practice just sort of grew. It just sort of grew. She focused on engineers who wanted to get over OCD. And then, that was her focus, that was her niche. And she did really well at it. She grew this incredible practice. She started traveling all around the world. She became a real food connoisseur. She also became a birder. She sold her house, moved to the beach for a while, then bought a third-floor condo overlooking a golf course, became a birder, started leading tours in some of the wetlands. Took a class to identify birds from their sound only, not only in California, but throughout North America. Remember, she's a Mensa card-carrying member. Okay. She has season tickets still to this day to the ballet and to the symphony. She has started to wind down her practice. She's now only seeing 2 people on a regular basis. And she, just this past week, called to tell me how excited she was because there's adult learning program at UC Irvine. And she has been asked to head up, as a volunteer, the science curriculum, being available, along with arranging for all of the speakers. Plus, she does yoga daily. She's working out with a trainer twice a week. And we had this conversation recently, and she's the same age as Joe Biden. Okay? So here's this woman. When I was in my 30s, I thought she was like in her early 40s, 15 years older than I am. And she's nothing. She and I are, you look at us from our 30s, we are nothing like that now. Obviously, nothing like that, but you see my point. My point is, I'm not sharing her story because she's like an overachiever or she's driven or she's like crazy smart. I'm sharing this story because she was willing to become willing to see that there was more, not to do, but more to be. There was more love, and there was more joy, and there was more fulfillment. That life had so much more to offer than where she was, that she was willing for more. Not really knowing where she was going, but knowing that that's kind of the qualities she wanted. That was all she had for a vision. And she proves to us that that's all you really need for a vision. And it's never too late to catch that vision. And once you catch the vision, that vision continues to change because we continue to change. Because there's always more love and more joy and more fulfillment. There's always more inner reward, just like there's more inner work to do. And it changes again and again and again. And yes, some things drop off because it's the season for them to drop. But she proves the fact that if you become willing to catch a vision, not only does opportunity show up, but your vibration goes up, your vitality goes up, and before long, you start to have to say no to certain things because there's just not enough time. Plenty of energy, but not enough time. And that's what I loved about our reading this morning. And we're going to share that reading at the end so you guys can soak it in. Because it really inspired me. It inspired me to recognize that it's so easy to drop into that day to day, and let it consume us. When we really have this vision, even if it's just an emotional vision, I want more of this kind of good stuff. We start there and we allow it to become more and more clear. We start there and we allow it not only to expand, but we allow it to change over time. We allow ourselves to increase our own frequency so that others around us feel better. It's all just this circle of goodness. No matter what our age, no matter what our history, no matter what our story, no matter any of that, no matter how we were raised, it doesn't matter. Once we get to a certain place where we're like, there's this part of me that just wants more good. Good. Not stuff, but good. Break the bonds of apparent necessity and see life as one continuous expression of the infinite self. One continuous expression. That means no matter where we are, there's more to express. There's more good for God to experience in, through, and as us. So I ask you, check in right now. Are there any self-imposed restrictions that are making you wonder, is it time for them to go away? Is it time to release them to something else, someone else, because they're no longer serving us? Restrictions like looks or history or age. Late 50s, becoming a psychoanalyst. Think about it. Ernest Holmes reminds us in the textbook that no one ever started at the top. Let us be happy to begin right where we are and grow. And grow in terms of what makes our heart feel happy. Because if our heart's happy, everything else just sort of shows up. Have you noticed that? Have you ever been in that point in your life where you're like, man, I am just loving life. And you look around and there's just so much more now to love. And have you ever been in that point where life is just sucks? Right? When life just sucks, here's the thing. We all are so blessed because we have each other. Not to help us wallow in it. Not to help push us out of it. But we have each other to allow ourselves to sit together with it until one is ready to say what's next. Right? It's all about being willing. Because once we become willing, it becomes a turning point. It becomes a turning point because now we are allowing space for God to do the heavy lifting. We are allowing space for ourselves to start using the law, using spirit for our own personal good. And yes, the law is impersonal, as I did a little video this weekend. Yes, the law is totally impersonal. And yes, we are our own producer, our own creator, our own driver, right? It's our movie, all that stuff. But when we become willing to open up to God's divine love, I believe we are now making that law personal to us, for us, through us, and as us. And it's all about being willing. Now for that receptive vibration, here's what Rumi has to say. You were born with potential. You were born with goodness and trust. Is that Rumi? Oh, yes. I don't really know these slide things yet. Okay. You were born with great potential. You were born with goodness and trust. You were born with ideals and dreams. You were born with greatness. You were born with wings. You were not meant for crawling. So don't. You have wings. Learn to use them to fly. We weren't born, you guys, with restrictions. We weren't. We learned all of that. And if you learn it, you can unlearn it. You can move beyond it. As the reading said, we weren't born to get up in the morning and eat and go to work and then come home and then get to sleep and then get to do it all over again. We weren't born to do that. We were born to do so much more than that. In the reading, it says the first thing to remember is that the how is really none of our business. You get that? Say it with me. The how is none of my business. It's none of our business, the how. We did that in January, right? How is not our business. Whose business is the how? God's. Spirit's. That's whose business the how is. It's not our business. So what is our business? Ours is the what, right? It's the what. It's the what. And the what is just our vision, our statement of our truth. And it doesn't have to be about something specific. It gets to be about something as much as simple as I just want more good. And the what is completely and totally our business, because Spirit, God, whatever you call it, just says yes. Yes, you want more? Yes, here, have more. Eat and sleep more, right? So as we start to become willing to create a what, that's when life starts to get really interesting, because now we're doing more than just producing it, right? Man, we're living it. Holmes in the reading, intend to see everything as one continuous expression of God. Because the conception gradually dawns upon the inner thoughts. In other words, we begin to embody that idea. And something starts to happen to the outer conditions. But it starts in. It starts with an inner conversation. With not the higher self, but with the self. And that conversation is a two-way conversation, and we should never forget that. Right? When we pray, we're stating, we're speaking our word. When we meditate, when we get quiet and listen, we're hearing. And sometimes we get to hear the how. But not always. Not always. I would like to suggest that as we become more and more clear, then the vibration increases, the frequency increases, the attraction increases, and the how becomes magically expressed and received. If we are clear and willing to be open, if we are committed to our own self-good, if we are committed to seeing that there's so much incredible stuff just waiting for us to say yes. When we seek a partnership with that all-knowing, all-present one, when we start to seek that, our hearts open and we become more expanded individuals. How many here have a Science of Mind textbook? Okay. How many here have a spiritual read that they just love so much, right? Have you ever gone back and noticed when you read it over again, how come I didn't highlight that part, right? How come there's not a star here? That is because where we were and where we are is so different, because we've been doing the inner work, and it reflects in our outer life. It reflects in our vision. It reflects in our attraction. It reflects in who we have in our world, who we have in our life, and what we're willing to do. We have everything we need right here and right now. We really do. We can move any mountain we want to move. We just need to be willing. And not only willing to do the inner work, but I propose we also need to be willing to hang out with those people who are vibrating at that level we want to be at, who are attracting to themselves what we want to attract. We gather here not because the coffee is so great, because it isn't, but we gather here because we're here. We're filling this room with love and vitality. And when those senior citizens, however you classify those senior citizens, when they show up here on Monday morning for their card games, man, they're feeling it. When I was in Carlsbad, we hosted a group. We had our own location, and we hosted a lot of different 12-step groups. And we got the most loving note from one 12-step group. Was like, don't ever move, because the love you leave here on Sunday, we feel Sunday night. Isn't that great? And it's true forever, all of us, together or individually, wherever we hang out, because we're on that path, right? We're on that, hey, life is good, getting better, and it's all God. So, we have everything we need. We have all of the support that we need. We have all of the tools that we need, including prayer. So it's all about getting willing to allow that vision and that vibration and that vitality to just take us over. So let's do a prayer, shall we? Talking about using these tools, let's do a prayer. Oh, and in this moment, I just remember the truth. That there is only one, and that one is good, and that one is divine love and expression. And it presses through each and every individual on this planet. And in this moment, I claim, I demand for myself, and invite you to join me if it works for you, a level of willingness that is just on fire. A willingness to see love, to be love, to receive love. A willingness to let go of any restrictions, any history, any idea that no longer serves that greater expression of who I am. and who I am willing to expand into. Because my life is a continual expansion of good, a continual sharing of good, and a continual receiving of an even greater good. That is my claim. That is my demand. That is my what. And I am so excited and grateful in advance to see how it unfolds in its own unique ways. With a grateful, overfilled heart, I give thanks. I say, Spirit, do that heavy lifting, because I am not only willing, but ready, excited, and grateful, and that is the truth, and so it is. So, in closing, I promised you the reading, but I also want to share a quote that I just love from Clement Stone. No matter how carefully you plan your goals, they will never be more than a pipe dream unless you pursue them. Pursue them with gusto. So, assignment for the week, take those restrictions. Just think about letting them go. Just consider it. Play with it. And then, if you're really ready, as the Toyota ad says, join me and let's go some places, shall we? Namaste.